Good afternoon, Team NAFEC. I'm here in our gorgeous Take 5 coffee facility with Mr. Dennis Schouten, our MWR director, our N9. And we're going to talk to you today about what are we going to do to continue the mission and continue to bring our folks back aboard as we bring the base back to normal operations over a series of steps. And we're going to walk you through kind of what those are and hopefully answer any questions you have. First, if you have questions, our CMC is standing by to take those live, so post them right here, right now, down below, and we'll get those addressed in today's comments. So a quick overview of how do we bring the base back to full normal operating conditions. There's 4 phases. The first phase we're in right now is setting the conditions, identifying all those things we need to do, and ordering all those extra supplies so that we're ready to bring the full workforce back. The next phase is bringing back our people, and we're doing that through a series of steps with our most mission essential are already at work, and then we're bringing back our senior leaders, those who cannot telework, and then followed at the end by the higher risk categories. So we're bringing folks back incrementally and monitoring that as we go through that. And your supervisors will hold the keys to that timeline as they work with me on when it's appropriate to move to the next step. Shortly after we get everyone back aboard, we'll partially open services across the base. And we're going to talk to you today about what that means and what that looks like. We're going to maintain mitigations as we partially restore services so that if something happens, if there's a pop-up of exposure, we're able to handle that while we're protecting our people and then continuing to execute the mission. And the final phase is full restoration of the mission and full restoration of all services. And I'll be honest, that is a long, long ways away. Again, we're going to continue our mission while we're protecting our people. There's a set of gating criteria that I need to look at before we go from step to step. And it's informed, but it's not driven by what's happening in the local communities. And what that means is I pay close attention to our local towns and cities and what's happening out there, their rates of exposure, their capacity from their medical infrastructure to deal with rises and falls in COVID exposure outside. And all of that will help determine if we've got the conditions set that we are ready to move on to the next phases. So that's kind of how that works. And that may lead to a difference between Imperial County and San Diego. So the metro bases are all going to be under one movement plan because their medical infrastructure is kind of consolidated. Imperial County, our challenges out here are a little bit different. And the COVID numbers and the peaks and waves and the exposures were occurring in Imperial County at a little bit different time rate that they were occurring in San Diego County. And the restoration on the backside of that is also going to occur on a slightly different timeline. So don't be surprised if metro bases do things either a little bit ahead or a little bit behind of what NAF El Centro does. And that's all based on us assessing what's best for the workforce and what's best for the people here as we move through those steps. So I'd like to talk a little bit, Dennis, what are we doing to protect folks, to protect the workforce as we bring additional folks back aboard?
All right, thank you, Skipper. When we do open some facilities, the staff will be doing very similar things that people are doing at home now with some added measures. And those would include cleaning and disinfecting the facilities often and regularly, washing their hands often and regularly. They'll conduct staff health screenings before they come to work, including temperature checks. They'll wear face masks and gloves. The facility hours will incorporate closed for cleaning hours, so we can be open for a little bit. We need to close for a while to deep clean, and then we can reopen back up. Plexiglass shields will be at the point of sale counters where you conduct your financial transaction. And we'll, of course, maintain physical distancing with floor marks, foot marks on the floor 6 feet apart. And each facility will have a separate entrance and exit, so there's one-way traffic flow.
Thanks. A couple key takeaways there. If you're a workforce and you deal with customer interface, we're going to make sure you've got that plexiglass shield, that physical separation between you and the public or your customer base. The next thing I think we're doing is, or I know we're doing, is upgrading our cleaning contracts. So some of our facilities in our workspaces get contract cleaning. We've amended that contract to account for the additional cleaning requirements that COVID are going to have. So all those things are in place and will be in place prior to bringing the workforce back aboard. So that's how we're taking care of our folks. I mentioned that the third step is returning to partial service for some of our facilities. So can you talk a little bit about what's first and what kind of things folks can expect as you bring those first functions back online?
Yes, sir. Thank you. There's at least 4 facilities that will reopen with some mitigations. Of course, the large pool will be open for active duty, lap swim only. The slides and the diving boards will not be in use. We'll start out first with an hour time limit with reservations, and we're flexible to see if that we really need that or not. If not, then it goes away. But people should come prepared to swim. Dressed to swim, the lockers and showers will not be available. And again, there's separate entry and exit for the large pool. Next, or concurrently, the RV park will, online reservations will resume. Take 5, where we are right now, to get your coffee. That'll be just like out in town. 1 guest at the counter per serving, 6 feet apart, maintaining social distance. We'll have stickers on the ground where you can step both inside and outside. One-way traffic inside to the outside, and a plexiglass shield to protect you and the staff on the inside. Kingpin, got to get your pizza, got to get your hot wings, got to get your salad. So it'll be to-go and delivery service only. There's no seating inside. Again, just like Take 5 and the other restaurants, we'll maintain social and physical distancing with stickers on the ground, one way in, one way out, plexiglass at the counter. As far as the galley will be able to start dine-in service at this time, providing there's physical distancing. People have to maintain that minimum 6-foot distance between people at the tables. If it doesn't work, we may have to let it go. CYP will continue with mission essential childcare, and if people that can choose to self-care at home, CYP will still waive the monthly fees for you. NGIS will resume 24/7 service at the front desk. We'll have plexiglass shields at the front desk. And leisure travel reservations are available to resume, providing they don't interfere with detachment, operational detachments. And those are booked first.
Thanks, Dennis. So I think it's important to understand that we're working very hard to bring back some of those functions that help you with morale, help you with just getting some additional options for eating. And one of my recent discussions with one of the sailors, they mentioned the skate park. Can you talk about when that might be open?
Skipper, I think we can open that when we, concurrently with the fitness center, which is after the facilities I mentioned prior. When the fitness center does open, we'll open that with limited capacity. And doing our math calculations, that's about 20 people max at one time. We'll have fitness equipment that's taped off to maintain that physical distancing. It'll be for active duty only initially, and active duty need to come dressed, ready to work out. Again, like the pool, showers and lockers will not be available. So you walk in, you won't have to register. We'll have that blocked off to eliminate that potential contamination, and you'll be able to do your workout. If people do start to congregate, the staff is trained to politely go up to you and ask you to please separate. The racquetball, basketball, and volleyball courts will not be available, and the facility hours will have built-in closed for cleaning hours, so we can deep clean in between. Also, the auto hobby will open with limited capacity. Again, we may start with reservations, depends on how the patronage and usage goes, and it also depends on what type of work is being done. Patrons will be required to wear a face mask and sanitize and disinfect the tools that they use after they're done.
Yeah, thanks, Dennis. It sounds like that some of our things are in early phases, and you talked about those, and then things like the gym are in kind of a midterm a group of functions that we'll bring together, and then there's some longer term things like the theater. Where do the community playgrounds fit into this timeline?
The playgrounds, they would actually be part of the first set of potential reopenings.
Okay. And I think it's important to understand the playgrounds that are in the housing areas that are owned by Lincoln Military Housing may be on a slightly different timeline. So I'm working closely with the Lincoln leadership to ensure that we synchronize our schedules as best we can for that. But we have different respective chains of command that we have to work through for approvals to work that particular element. So we'll be asking your patience if for some reason the community playgrounds and whatnot open slightly in advance of what the Lincoln ones do. Okay, thanks very much for walking us through those things, Dennis. Is there anything else on your plate you wanted to bring up?
The only thing, sir, is that when these facilities do open up, it's imperative that everybody follow the rules and regs. We don't want to slip back and have to close facilities for any reason. So as long as everybody works together, has patience and understanding, we'll get through.
Thanks very much. And that's a great part to end on. I've seen some states struggling with that same thing where they relax the rules based on certain behavior of the public. The public doesn't behave that way, so they have to tighten the rules back up. And that's something that we're certainly going to monitor here as well. We're going to be publishing a briefing card this afternoon that has a list of commonly asked questions and things that we expect may be on your mind, and try to provide you those answers. We're going to get that published this afternoon, so you can look forward to that. But a big thing I'd like you to take away from this is we're not setting things back to normal. There's going to be a new normal, and that new normal, the phasing structure that we just walked you through on when things may come back and what you have to do when those things do come back to life, it's going to be like that for quite some time. So I wouldn't anticipate a rapid return to what you saw in 2019 for how things operated. So I ask your patience again with that. I don't have any actual dates for any of these steps that we mentioned. These are all going to be driven based on environment on the base. The environment off the base will be informing me as well, specifically medical capacity to respond to crisis if things get dramatically worse off base is a key indicator for how healthy we are as a community and how resilient we are and ready to respond. That will tell me how fast or slow we need to work through each of these steps. Okay, so that's all I've got. CMC, did we get any questions while we were talking?
Yes, sir, we did. We have one question from our Facebook fans. Asked if the gym reopens, will there be a time limit for those patrons inside the gym?
Sir?
Yes, sir. I think we will start with an hour time limit. We'll see how that goes, just like out of hobby shop. Some of these things we have to play by ear because we just don't know. Uncharted waters, and if we do, we do. And if we don't, we certainly won't do that.
Okay.
One other question, sir, also from our Facebook fans. Will Squadron start be coming back to NAF El Centro?
So believe it or not, our mission has continued the entire time. We've had many detachments, small in size, continue to use the field both during open and closed operations. And I do want to thank all our mission essential personnel who were part of keeping that mission going. Everything from our security forces to our galley forces to our housekeeping, as well as our air traffic control and field ops. So well done, and I've got more on that particular front later this week. But to answer the specific question, we are going to have our larger detachments starting to come back at the end of this month. So it's not very far away where you're going to see some more jets living here long term and in larger numbers. Part of the reason those numbers dropped off was the local communities where those jets live had to go through their COVID precautions and postures, and that kind of inhibited their ability to travel to visit us. So I thank those who supported keeping the base open and operational to support the customers who did use us, and I can tell you that more customers are coming in the very near term. Anything else pop in?
Nothing showed up anymore, sir, but please, folks, if you're out there, if you have something that's on your mind, please feel free to drop the questions under this post.
Okay, so we'll monitor the comment board under this post. We'll provide feedback to any questions that come in after we sign off the video. As always, you can email our PAO. Phenomenal PAO, does a great job getting word to me on what's important to the community, and we get those answers out via mechanisms like this or via our Facebook posts or other command-sponsored notifications. And finally, if you don't feel like going public with your question and you want to shoot me something anonymous, our CO suggestion boxes do exist in areas of the base that are open. There's one at the galley. There's one in this Take 5 building, which as soon as we open this up, you'll have access to again. And another one that's available right now is in the front lobby of the NGIS building, 401, that front desk there. So many options to get us questions. And if we didn't address anything either today or in the briefing card, the frequently asked questions card that we're posting this afternoon, hopefully that gets after what's on your mind. If not, don't hesitate to reach out. Don't suffer in silence. We're all in this together. Thanks everyone in the community for everything you've done so far in COVID. We got a long way to get back to what normal is going to look like. And I'll do my very best to inform you along each step as we approach each one of those milestones. That's all I got. Stay healthy and stay safe out there. Thanks very much.